So we're coming back at you from CES 2019, where ASUS brought the CES show to us. This is the Zephyrus S GX701, the latest in their lineup of hyper-thin and yet super powerful gaming laptops. You might not be able to tell from the outside, or from its weight, or even from the inside, unless you're like some kind of electronics engineer or, you know, this heat pipe design means anything to you, but this is going to be one of the most powerful gaming laptops out there. We're going to show you all around it. And our CES coverage this year is brought to you by dbrand. You can check out dbrand's new 2nd gen grip case. This is a drop-proof case. We've got that linked below, as well as their Prism hammer-proof screen protector. Hit the links in the video description. Hit the links. Hit the links. I'm standing by it. So from the outside, the new Zephyrus inherits a lot of the traits of its 15-inch predecessors. It's super thin, you've got your exhaust ports here, 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 and here, because there is a lot of heat to dissipate, and you've got an actually pretty ample selection of I/O, with the one thing that's notably missing being an RJ45 jack, because the thing is quite honestly just too darn thin to fit it. But there are some really cool new additions that are obvious before we even open it up. So while it does have a power-in jack, it can also accept, boom, right there, USB Type-C power up to 65 watts. So that means you can actually top this thing up on the go, or at the very least, extend your gaming time by a little bit. Another thing that's really cool here is that they have made some not too obvious changes to the thermal design. They're not strictly speaking new to this generation of Zephyrus, but they're definitely worth mentioning. So these fans here are now made using a liquid crystal polymer, which is presumably to make them like super mega hyper thin, and the shrouds for them have been redesigned as well. So right here they've got like a dust collection chamber so you won't gunk up the fins of your heatsink, and they've added kind of a little pout to it. That is to say, they've got a little lip on the bottom that keeps, here we go, typical Zephyrus fashion, that keeps the cool air that's being drawn in from this flap that opens up at the bottom when you open up the screen from mixing too much with the hot air that's coming out here and here, because it wouldn't do you a lot of good to exhaust the hot air if you just sucked it right back in. Now let's get it opened up, and this is where things get exciting. These bezels are hyper thin. So even though it's a 17-inch display, the laptop itself is crazily actually not that big, and there's a couple of options. There's a 144 Hz 1080p version, and that guy is gonna be obviously for the gamers out there, but even not quite, because it's Pantone certified, so you could do some light content creation on it, and they're gonna have a 400 nit peak brightness HDR display with local dimming. So that's right, 400 nit peak brightness?
It's HDR 400, so
right, so
be a little bit higher, but
no. Yeah, good try. Now, one disadvantage to this thin bezel approach that you might have picked up on is that I tried to launch the camera app and oh wow, it doesn't have a webcam. So ASUS's rationale here is that most gamers don't care about the webcam anyway, so they went so far as to not even include a crappy one down here, but to rip it out entirely, assuming that anything you could build into a tiny little bezel or anything like that wouldn't be acceptable anyway, and they might as well just ship a standalone webcam. And it appears that it mounts.
that's the standalone.
That's the standalone stand for it? Well, you know what? I've had enough of your crap, Jeff. Hey, it goes like that. Oh, look how much of your screen it covers. Can it kind of bite onto it like that? It can kind of. Okay, so it's an imperfect solution, but it's better than nothing, you know? Which is quite literally what you have if you don't put this on. I've been informed it is at least 1080p 60 FPS, so. Now let's talk specs. This little puppy is equipped with a 6-core 8750H. Our particular model has 24 gigs of RAM for some reason, and you can get it with either a GTX 2070 or 2080 Max-Q. Did I say GTX the first time? damn it. So this thing is equipped with an RTX 2070, which I don't know if it's equivalent to the desktop version because NVIDIA won't tell us a damn thing about it, or a 2080 Max-Q, which I also don't know a damn thing about because NVIDIA won't tell us anything about it. So I don't know how neutered the 2080 Max-Q is, although presumably if ASUS bothered to do 2 SKUs, it's either because NVIDIA twisted their arm behind their back or because even with the Max-Q variant, the 2080 is still at least a little bit faster than 2070. Either way, what we know is that you can turn RTX on and have glorious 40 to 55 FPS gaming on this machine. And there's a few other extras. So the keyboard backlight is now brighter than ever. This wheel right here adjusts the volume, and oh, it has a 50% bigger battery. Yes, my friends, ASUS used a bunch of the extra space they have down here to put a 76 watt-hour battery in this thing. So now you can game for even a little bit more over an hour on battery.
Fabuloso.
Now, in fairness to ASUS, it does include the same GPU switch button that'll actually trigger an entire restart of the machine and switch between G-Sync, discrete graphics mode, and Optimus mode, where you can't have G-Sync, but our testing on the Zephyrus M yielded something like 54 minutes of battery life in the PCMark battery test, even in Optimus mode, so I'm still not expecting this to be like, you know, the machine for meetings at the office or whatever, unless your office has very, very short meetings. It's for gamers. Come on, look at the logo. It's ROG anyway. What do people expect? It doesn't have Thunderbolt? No Thunderbolt. I disapprove. But I approve of this message from dbrand. Without dbrand, our trip to CES 2019 wouldn't have been possible, so a big shout out to those guys. Go check out their new 2nd gen grip at the link in the video description. It's grippier than ever, so no dropping, even for me, and it's 65% thinner than the 1st generation. It offers military-grade impact protection along the full case, and it's easy to customize the backplate. Also, you can protect the front of your phone with dbrand now too, with their Prism screen protector that you can literally smack with a hammer, and it won't break. Obviously, there are limits to this technology. We don't recommend trying it at home, but it's a heck of a lot better than nothing. And it's got a nice glass-like feel, even though it's an impact-resistant screen protector. That's pretty cool. Go check that out at the link below as well. So don't miss any of our CES 2019 content. I think the rest of it will actually be on the show floor, so we'll see you guys there. I'm gonna warp in between this video and the next one to Vegas. And by subscribing to Linus Tech Tips.